Welcome to the Culture Shift with Jeroslyn Jovan. Be the change. Our podcast subseries aimed at highlighting those making impactful strides within the growing prison and criminal justice reform movement, brought to you by Black Enterprise. Today, we're speaking with the founder and executive director of Prison from the Inside Out, a California-based nonprofit aimed at bridging the gap between people in prison and people in the community. Through its resources, Prison from the Inside Out offers the incarcerated community a platform to share their stories, accept responsibility for their actions, and mentor others. Join me in welcoming its founder, Portia Taylor. Welcome, Portia. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing well. You look stunning, my love.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You look stunning as well.
Thank you. So tell us about your organization, Prison from the Inside Out, and what inspired the initiative.
Prison from the Inside Out is it's my baby. My husband is formerly incarcerated, and during his incarceration, I was angry. I've seen a lot of things happen to him as a nonviolent offender in regards to rehabilitation that I just did not agree with. He wasn't provided with the tools that he needed to learn from his mistakes, heal from his mistakes, and then come out to be a better person. And in watching that, I wanted to kind of share with people who are not impacted the atrocities that happen behind bars, and also share that everybody that's in prison is not a monster. And in doing so, Prison from the Inside Out was born.
Okay, all right. And we'll get into a little bit more about the type of platform that you're providing incarcerated people and the initiatives that you've put about. But can you tell us a little about your professional background and if you feel it prepared you for the work you're doing now with your organization?
Actually, the oddest thing when I started FTIO, the acronym for Prison from the Inside Out, I was a high school dropout. I left school at the age of 16. And I met my husband at the age of 19. We had our first children. I was literally the Black statistic, young Black girl, dropped out of school, having children, and then my partner goes to prison, right? And as I began the journey of creating the nonprofit, God first definitely led me right back to school. And I went back to school in 2019, was able to obtain multiple degrees, and I am now a law student. And so initially, no, my education did not prepare me for the work that I was going to do. More so my lifestyle, the culture, the people that I grew up around prepared me for the work that I do. And then again, God will accelerate you when it's your purpose. But now definitely the educational path that I've chosen is perfect for the work that I do.
Definitely. And that thank you for sharing all of that in regards to just your educational background and going back to school, because that's very inspiring for a lot of people, especially you just working to defy the odds, kind of going rolling with the path that was laid out for you, but at the same time still going to defy the odds. And now you're going to law school. That's inspiring.
Yeah.
And you're also the first African American woman to create a nonprofit that serves correctional institutions with resources that are approved and funded by the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, their partner innovative programming. How did it feel to find that out? That's amazing. Congratulations. And how did it feel to
Yeah, very exciting. Very
yeah,
exciting, especially as a younger Black woman, doing things that are unique, and not just unique to the state of California, but unique for our culture, unique for Black people in general, is groundbreaking. You know, it's my parents are still with me, so something that I can say before they pass away that they could be proud of, because as mentioned, I wasn't the best child. So just very exciting for me and my team. We worked hard.
oh, that's beautiful. That's so beautiful. Now, it says that FTIO works to bridge the gap between people in prison and the outside world. In what ways are you working toward that?
So in bridging the gap is exactly what I was explaining before. We wanted to make sure that people who are not impacted had a source of connection to people who are currently serving time or are formerly incarcerated, somehow directly impacted by the justice system. And so our original program is called the BIO program. Essentially, it's a testimonial program. It's a way for incarcerated people to tell their stories. And then we use those stories and we share them on our social media platforms, on our website, and then on certain support networks, radio shows and things like that, podcasts, so that people in the world can learn about how in the snap of a finger, one split second, can change the trajectory of a person's life, whether they're spending time in a jail or a prison versus being at home with their families. And we found tons of success with that program. That program went nationwide, and that's actually how FTIO became popular. And then since we expanded to working with youth and victims. So that's also what makes our program unique, is that we have a direct contact source with the victims of the crimes that are committed. We teach these men and women how to write remorse letters, apology letters to these victims. And then these victims do have the opportunity to respond. So we're really digging into restorative justice and looking for ways for people, not just the victims, but also the offender, to heal, right? So that they don't come back out and do these same things, and that this victim can hopefully one day live a semi-normal life
Right.
after what has occurred to them.
Of course. And you it mentions on the website about the resources that you're providing the incarcerated community. Can you share what some of those resources are and what the response has been like?
Absolutely. So most recently, we've been working on housing. I opened up my first transitional home in 2020 in San Joaquin County in California. And so we were directly contracted with California Department of Corrections for that as well. So people coming directly out of the Department of Corrections into the home. I made sure to model the home after a house and not a prison or a normal transitional home, so that people can feel compassion and love. That is part of the healing process. And in doing so with that, we also partner with employment companies that as soon as they get out, they have access to jobs, medical services, mental health services, substance abuse services, the wraparound services that we believe, and spiritual services. So some kind of church network, no matter what their religious background is. But we believe that people who are going to be successful need wraparound services. And the first things that they are going to need is housing and income. Once they have the housing and the income, we're going to work on all those things in the background: the mental health, the substance abuse, the medical support in regards to just having medical coverage, stability of all sorts. So we're diving all the way in all parts.
And what would you say about the response with the formerly incarcerated who have gone through your transitional home, or even just utilize some of the services that FTIO provides? What has the response been like from them?
We have an extremely high success rate. I think the response for us is so great because everybody that works on my team is system impacted. So as mentioned, my husband was formerly incarcerated. I'm connected by them, but as a youth, I did go to like juvenile and then county jails, never to prison. Thankfully, God stopped my path going that way. But all of the other board members, staff members, they are also either formerly incarcerated or their spouses, children, some sort are incarcerated. And so when we go into the homes or the institutions, I think the populations of people bond with us because we're bringing in not just empathy, we're bringing in lived experience.
Right.
We know what you're going through. We've sat in these spaces, and so they attach to us really. And programs keep people out of trouble, and they do not go back. They come out and they end up working with us, or they branch off from the work that they do with us, and they're successful.
Very impactful. And you've also expanded your program in Africa. Tell us how that came about.
Just super blessed. God, I feel like aligns me with the right people at the right time. And so I was working with a university. We work in several universities across the state doing research on the justice system. And I met a professor, and this professor was like, hey, there's a program in Uganda. They've been looking for something like this. Are you interested? And of course. And so he did the introduction. And I mean, they just kind of took it and ran with it. They didn't ask us for anything at the time. We were brand new. They, we assisted in getting them all the programs and everything that they needed. They went out and got their own shirts made. They did their own fundraising to run it. They got the approvals in the prison, and they ran about 3 cohorts with our guidance, and it was successful there as well. They ran it with men and women. And so that was 2019. We're still in contact with them. And right now we're actually discussing our second cohort in Uganda.
And tell us how you're working to reach the incarcerated community in other states within America, and if there are any hurdles in your path.
Amazing question. We just got offered to go into the infamous Parchman prison, which is one of the oldest slave plantations in the United States. Slave plantation transitioned over to a prison like in the snap of a finger after the laws changed when the 13th Amendment came into place. And so Mississippi on the way. We're invited there, and also Georgia right now. But when we originally started at TIO, we automatically started a chapter in Florida, Pennsylvania, and too. And I think the good part about FTIO is that we're neutral. When we come in, the work that we do is not biased to correctional staff or to the work that's being done in institutions. It's helping. If the participants leave our class happy, that means the job of the correctional staff is easier. The job of the warden is easier. These are people that are now trying to do better. And so we've been pretty good. We haven't had any hurdles thus far.
So I started this series because I'm passionate about prison reform. My mom has 6 kids, 3 boys, 3 girls. All 3 of my brothers have ended up in prison at some point in their life. One of my brothers has spent pretty much all of his adulthood in and out of prison, primarily due to mental health diagnoses. And with him being there, all 3 of them being there at times, and, they make friends, or they got a friend calling you on 3-way to put them on the phone, you kind of, you get, you can talk to different ones, and you can see the similarities where there were services that could have been offered ahead of time that probably wouldn't have gotten where they're at. And then once they're there and they become a part of this system, they are kind of forgotten about. There are stigmas on them, on who these people are. And because I have such close relation to 3 people that ended up part of the system, it has a place in my heart, but that's not the case for most people, even the people that look like us. These are our own brothers and sisters in these jails, and they're just forgotten about. So from your experience, what would you say are some of the biggest misconceptions about the incarcerated community?
I think you hit it on the head. Like when we watch movies and TV, they show people that are incarcerated as animals, animalistic, killers, violent, etc. And that's just not the case. When you walk into these spaces, this is someone's brother, this is someone's father, this is someone's mother. They may have made a mistake, but we all make mistakes, whether inside or outside. And a lot of the times you go into these spaces and these people are fully apologetic. They are working extremely hard to prove that. However, the system that we have in the United States is not built on rehabilitation, it's built on incapacitation. And they work so hard to try to prove to parole board systems, to the victims' families, to all of the people that were impacted by the crime that they committed, that they're redeemable. And unfortunately, our system is just it's not built for that. So I think the misconception that I see most is just that people, once a criminal, always a criminal, that a person cannot change. People change, people make mistakes, people can re-enter society and be productive citizens.
Yes, they can. So what would you say in regards to how we can break stigmas that hinder the incarcerated community?
I think just keeping people conjoined. I think that as long as people look at prison as a different world and not a part of our world, public safety is public safety. 95% of the people who are incarcerated are going to come home. They're going to be your neighbor. And as it stands right now, it's like two separate worlds. So as long as we can keep people in the now, well informed, continuing to bridge that gap, I think we'll see something different happen in the future. We just have to keep on, sharing stories, bringing people inside that have never been inside, making sure that people who are not impacted meet somebody who is impacted or has served time, and I truly believe we'll see some change in the future.
And have you been receiving bipartisan support toward FTIO's mission?
Absolutely. We are very well supported. I actually did internships at the California State Capitol. We do write law, so we have lots of support from legislative members, the legal world, public defender's office, district attorney offices, even the police departments locally here. And so we're moving in the right direction for sure.
Yeah, that's definitely good to know because I think oftentimes we think like, oh, only one side or one political party is for this fight for prison reform. When if you do your research, you'll see there's
Yeah.
a lot of people from both sides, Republicans, Democrats, independent parties, white, black, that are on this wave. So I just love the work that you're doing and that it's kind of even helping to create that awareness. It says on your website that you do mass rehabilitation to resolve mass incarceration. Touch on that process for us.
I think that leans right back into our programs. We really go in and pour into our students. Like, I don't even call them students. They're our groups. They're our participants. They're like our little family. Um, I tell all of my facilitators before they go in, like, our job is to pour hope. Yes, we're teaching a curriculum. Yes, we're going in to better them based on this curriculum, but we're going in to pour hope into this hopeless environment. And when you provide hope, you see something different flourish in a human being. And in doing that, that trickles across the yards, across the buildings. And so they want to come back and they want to tell other people to take the class. And that's the rehabilitation tactic that we are using. We want it to be like, um, you know, fruit that just grows everywhere. Prison yards are kind of bland, right? No color. Fruits via hope that grows all over the yards. And at the end of harvest, right, we're picking all these people out of prison and hoping that they stay, which is essentially terminating mass incarceration. So yeah, we go in, we provide these programs, we provide hope. And as these people get out and stay out, we know that we are essentially lowering the recidivism rate permanently.
Yep. And are there any upcoming projects and initiatives that you would like us to know about?
Yes, absolutely. As this next legislative season comes forth, my team is taking on the great movement of trying to abolish the three strikes law in California. We are super excited about that. We think it's overdue. There are so many people, young and of a older age, who are spending time inside of prison for nonviolent crimes because of a law that was written with too many gray areas. And I can go further into how that law was written, but the important part is that we're going to try to have it removed from the California Constitution. And so very excited about that. We also have a few other pieces of legislation that we'll be introducing regarding hospice inside of prisons. A lot of people don't know that. And we have about 100,000 people currently incarcerated in California. And we have very few hospice beds. And of the hospice beds that we have, they're all in Northern California, even though we have people all across the state of California incarcerated. So imagine being sick and then having to travel from Southern California to Northern California just to get a hospice bed. And so we definitely going to make some adjustments to that. And then our other pieces of legislation are just on trying to make the prison system a little bit more humane.
Yes.
So those are our legislative pieces. We are also expanding our programs to youth. So we are super, super excited. We're going to be working with a few community-based organizations to offer preventative measures to our youth so that they just don't end up in the prison system in the first place. And we just want to make sure we're touching everyone so that when at the end of our journey doing this work, we can really say that we not only lowered the recidivism rates, but we stopped a large number of our kids from ever accessing that system.
Wow. Real, very impactful work. Talk about creating a legacy, building a legacy. And you shared a bit about your background. Girl, look at what you're doing. This is just a lot to be proud of. And when you look in the mirror in the morning, definitely pat yourself on the back, because we just need more of this. Tell us how we can get involved and support FTIO.
Absolutely. If you want to get involved, please visit our website. It is prisonftio.org. All of our contact information is there. Please feel free to donate. All of the links are there for that. You can learn more about us. There are all of our campaigns that are active there, as well as the ones that we've successfully achieved. Please go visit. You can also check us out on all of our social medias. It is prison_FTIO Inc. And that's how you reach us.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Portia. I love the work that you're doing. Thank you for taking time out to speak with me. This is very, very important work that you're doing. It's a very, very important conversation that we're having. And my job as a journalist is to raise awareness, and that's what I'm here to do. And thank you for being a part of that.
I appreciate you.